Hazrat Asghar was the youngest child of Imam Hussain. He was born only a few weeks before Imam left Medina. His mother's name was Rubab, daughter of Imam Hussain, who was the chief of the tribe of Kinda. Rubab had two children, Bibi Sakina and Asghar. She and her two children accompanied Imam to Karbala. The fact that Imam took with him a newly born baby further demonstrates that his intention was never to engage in any armed rebellion. At Karbala, Asghar was only 6 months old. From the 7th Muharram, there was no water in Imam's camp. Asghar was in great pain because of thirst. On Ashura day, after Hazrat Ali Akbar had been killed, Imam Hussain was standing outside the camp. He was left all alone, and he was preparing to go into the battlefield. Just then he heard a child cry. It was Asghar, tormented by the pangs of hunger and thirst. Imam walked into Bibi Rubab's tent. He lifted the child from the cradle. Rubab, he said, I will take him to Yazid's army. Surely they cannot possibly deny this little infant a few drops of water. Rubab changed Asghar's clothes. She even tied a small turban on his head. Like any other mother, she wanted her son to look at his best in front of strangers. Imam Hussain carried the child to the battlefield. Walking up to Yazid's soldiers, Imam Hussain said, This child has done no harm. He is dying of thirst. I am begging for a few drops of water for him. There was no response. Imam said, If you are afraid that when you bring Asghar any water, I will drink it, look, I will put him on the ground and you can come yourself and give him water. He put the child on the sands of Karbala and moved a couple of steps back. You can imagine how hot the desert sand was. Asghar lay there, not even wincing. He turned towards the enemy and stared at them. A murmur arose among the soldiers, but no one came forward to give water to the baby. Imam took Asghar in his arms and in a clear voice said, Asghar, my son, show them how thirsty you are. Asghar turned his head towards the soldiers. He smiled sweetly, opened his mouth, brought out his dry tongue, and moved it over his lips. The ultimate sword had been unsheathed. The soldiers were so moved by this that they could be heard sobbing. Still, they were very afraid of Yazid, and none dared come forward to give water to Asghar. Umar bin Saad was worried. It seemed that Asghar was emerging victorious in this confrontation against the might of Yazid. He looked at Hormala, a famous archer, and said, Silence, Hussein. Then a terrible thing happened. Hormala lifted his bow. He aimed an arrow at the child. The arrow flew across the hot desert. There was a hissing sound. Asghar smiled. He lifted his head and arched his neck. No civilized mind can even imagine what happened next. The hissing sound stopped and Asghar lay still on his father's arms. Imam Hussain looked down at Asghar's neck. He saw the arrow, he saw the neck, he saw the smile, and then he could see no more. Our Imam began to feel faint. For a moment everything went dark. He could not see. There was a total silence over Karbala, broken only by the sound of the gentle waves of Farat. Even the enemy appeared stunned. Slowly, Hussein turned round and now looked at the baby in his arms. The arrow had passed through the tender neck and lodged in Imam Hussein's chest. There was no way Imam Hussain could dislodge the arrow. His two arms were supporting the still child. He looked at the sky and prayed, Ya Allah, give me courage in this most difficult moment of my life. No prophet ever was subjected to a test as severe as this. It is said that Imam was so shaken up by what had happened to the infant child that all of a sudden his beard went all gray and he looked an old man. With his teeth, he pulled his arba over Asghar to shield the body from the scorching sun. Then he took a few deep breaths and began to walk towards his camp. As he got near, he saw Rabab standing at the entrance of her tent. He saw the anxiety, the hope, the fear, and the restlessness in her eyes. Our Imam seemed to lose all strength. He could not walk forward towards Bibi Rabab. He took 7 steps back, saying, Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. He stopped and thought that he must take the child to his mother. He again took 7 steps forward, saying, Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. Once again his eyes met with those of Bibi Rabab's. Again our Imam seemed to lose his courage and walked backwards, repeating, Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. Imam Hussain did this 7 times, forward and backward. All the time Bibi Rabab's eyes remained transfixed on the child. Each time Imam reciting, Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. Finally, somehow he got the arrow dislodged. He now took the dead infant to Bibi Rabab. He said, Rabab, this is a test from Allah which no mother has ever been asked to go through. Come with me. Bibi Rabab followed. With their own hands they dug a small grave. The father and the mother together buried Ali Asghar.